Disclaimer: the following show is a product of typical millennial boredom and contains two college friends who can blabber shit for hours. Anything being said is either derived from personal experiences, internet, or is a work of fiction. In no way is it meant to hurt the sentiments of any living or non-living being, and also no animals were harmed in the making.
Hello everyone, welcome to Millennial's Ecstasy. I'm Manan,
And I'm Dikshant.
and here we are trying to bring back those quirky discussions about topics that excite us or things we feel are totally messed up. Now, whether it be college, sports, technology, society, viral sensations, work life, or whatever it may be. Alongside some obvious notes, we'll also try to bring about certain aspects of it which we feel are just not spoken enough.
And for our first episode, we are going to take that one subject that everyone will relate to at some level. Something which we feel with time has been becoming more and more the center of discussion in a millennial's life, and that is relationships. Cut to intro. So before we start, tell me this: what is one thing common between dating and a fart?
And a fart.
Yeah.
बताओ आप ही बताओ.
If you force it, it's shit anyway.
Chalo bhai, perfect start. We've already lost half our viewers. Anyways, let's start with the podcast. Today's podcast is going to be about relationships or dating, and we've tried to segment it into 4 topics. So let's just dive into the first one.
Cool. We'll start with what these days we've been coming across a lot of relationships on different terms which have different kinds. So there are, I think we've jotted down, I think 6 to 7. So let's just go through them one by one, and Manu, let me know what you feel about them, okay?
Sure.
So the first one being the usual one, the old school one, which is the committed relationship.
The most simplistic one.
Yeah, the most simplistic one, let's say. The committed
The
relationship.
committed relationship, which
Huh?
is rare, I think, so these days, क्योंकि
Probably-
everyone wants some different complexity कि
Yeah.
ये एक चीज नहीं करनी, बाकी सब committed, except for this.
But probably in our lives. But given a broader perspective, committed relationships are still a hit. Let's just believe that's the thing.
Let's just believe at least.
Second one comes, which you have a handful experience with, the committed one, but a non-verbal committed one. I don't know, what does it mean? You're fucking scared that you don't want to verbally commit to each other, and then you spend years with them?
No, I'll just tell you my perspective on it. Ki initially you don't want to date. At that point of time, you don't want the committed relationship. ठीक है? And maybe after a few months or so, you're at that stage where you both realize ki it's probably going in the committed side only.
It's there.
It's there.
Okay, it's
But
there.
you don't want to change anything.
Okay,
There
so
is-
you never verbally let it out, but you both know
like
in your
we
head.
both know in our head. But after 2-3 months of all of this, you don't want to change the dynamics.
Okay, but aren't you past that point where you literally let the other person know that you're boyfriend girlfriend now? You're literally past that point now.
Yeah, we are past the point. So we both know about it. So there's never been a conversation where it leads to that direction. कि, क्या अभी ये change करना है? Because we are both in that place, sort of.
Okay, cool. The third one being, which I think all the guys hope of getting, friends with benefits. I just think it's a fantasy more than a relationship. At least it's a fantasy.
I think it's more because of late, I think so people who've not experienced it want to experience it.
So, yeah.
This is something which has come up very recently, through a lot of, I don't know, movies.
All those Gen Z stuff.
So a lot of people want to experience it. They don't know about it utna, so they want to क्या एक बार ये करना है, like, so just to know about it, there's a lot of hype around it, I must say.
Yeah.
Nothing
The
else.
fourth one being hookups.
Hookups.
We all know what hookups are.
I think so that is also another
I
simplistic.
think friends with benefits is you having an emotional touch as a friend and having the physical intimacy as you might have with anyone else. Okay? But for a prolonged period. And hookups is no emotional touch, just physical intimacy for a very short period of time. Probably you're not going to see
Correct.
him or her again.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. Then the next one is casual dating, or I must say the recent term which I have learned, seeing someone.
I think
Seeing
this
someone.
is one of the most complicated sort of
Yep.
relationship which I've come
Very.
across.
Yep.
Because there's a lot of gray area. To be honest,
I don't know what to say that would nudge her off, or
Hmm.
what not to say. You were on different pages in this. There are times, not on your, most of the times you're on different pages. You never
Exactly,
speak it
exactly.
out, but in your head you are surely on different pages.
Yeah.
No
Now it's
doubt.
like I say, okay, let's do a casual. She says, yeah, cool. In my head, casual can be like this A where I want this level of,
Yeah, in your head,
commitment
casual can be
and
like you're casual, but you're not exclusive. This is the kind,
hmm, huh,
open. But you're
open.
casual, but with exclusivity.
Hmm,
But that's like a cowboys game.
huh,
But you want to be exclusive, but you don't want to commit them verbally, and
huh.
you want to keep it casual. But that is,
I think so. Casual a lot of time is just someone not wanting to tell what exactly they want. So they'll just be
yeah,
like casual.
they themselves don't know.
Huh, they
Ki
themselves don't know what
they want.
is this, what they want.
Yeah,
So they just want to label as a broad category, and then whatever they do, they can take more liberty as to ki casual tha matlab.
casual. Huh. Yeah,
I told you casual. I told you it's
you
a
feel
casual.
that the other person might get hurt less, or you might get hurt less by terming it as casual
Huh. I
at the
think
end
so.
of the day.
Even if someone says ki, casual relationship, I hope they explain or have more of a communication on basis of how much casual this whole thing is for their own
Yeah,
benefit.
the semi DTR stage where you define the relationship. I think all casual relationships should have that. But
Ha.
the
True.
last one, one is casual but with exclusivity. This is
Hmm.
so we've talked about it.
Hmm.
The next one being platonic and like the internet kind of dating. The ghost dating. It's like
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
talk to someone for 2-3 months on text and then suddenly tough.
It's not dating.
It's not dating, but this, I think most of our time, like people of our age, are into this for sure. People have experienced this
Especially in the last, let's say,
one and a
one
half
and a
years.
half years.
Yeah,
Yes.
you've talked to so many people. For some people you talk for months, but you could never meet them. Like, sway away. It will
No,
be
but
very hard for us to go to like 3-4 years back what we were and what we were really into, and now what we
huh,
are into.
exactly, exactly.
There are some harsh changes there.
And harsh
Okay.
realities which we need to accept
I think
on
I think
certain terms.
we've made peace with it. We don't have a problem. So these are the kinds of relationships we come
Hmm.
across, and I think every day I keep hearing new kinds from
Huh,
somewhere or the other, or from the
exactly.
internet,
Like
and
I think
it
so.
just
I think so. The latest I've heard, he just told me that he wants me to be his girlfriend, but he doesn't want a relationship. Like first listening to it, I was like, wow, like this sounds cool. But when I thought about it, I was like, ये है क्या? But
हाँ ये सब कुछ पता है, ये कैजुअल, ये हुकअप, ये सब कुछ सुनने में बहुत कूल लगता है, लाइक फक,
huh,
मैं समझ रहे हैं, एंड देन व्हेन यू थिंक अबाउट इट लाइक भाई साहब, हाउ द फक शुड आई अंडरस्टैंड दिस.
exactly. This sounds good because this is appealing to everyone. This is exactly what I want. Casual बोल दिया. If someone doesn't want serious, everything else is casual, right? So initially you feel कि हाँ, this is what I want. But when the relationship goes forward and probably you're on different pages, then you're like, यार ये नहीं चाहिए मुझे.
Don't sway on the seesaw, be on one side ना.
Exactly.
But I still feel that जो भी हो, everyone still craves that relationship, the
Correct.
committed one.
The intimacy in which
Yeah,
there's
the
a lot of
emotional and physical,
emotional.
both
Totally,
intimacy, let's
totally.
just say that.
I totally agree.
At the end, some people who have experienced the committed relationship might want to experience it again with someone else or whatever.
Obviously,
Uh,
that's the end goal. All of the intermediates are, the in-between games. But eventually, everyone wants to finally. I'm not sure. Ki,
yeah,
this is also a sensitive topic.
let's just talk about most of them.
Most of the people. Most of
Why
the
to
people. Why?
generalize everyone?
हाँ, क्या,
I don't
there
want
might be
people
people.
coming to me and messaging कि नहीं भाई ये तो मेरे को तो नहीं चाहिए. How the fuck did
हाँ,
you say everyone?
मतलब they'll be like सब कैसे बोला? मैं तो नहीं हूँ उसमें.
But I think पहले ऐसा होता था ना, मतलब all these committed relationships, the old school relationship used to be like, it was like initially it used to be where you share about your past, then you share about your harsh memories, and then you end up being physical. That is the
Yeah,
path
there's
you
a lot
take.
of emotional intimacy before you get to the physical stuff.
Physical. Now I think it's 180 degrees.
Yeah.
है
Now I
ना?
think so it starts ki okay, physical is good.
Physical
Let's
is
try
good.
let's try the emotional one on.
Should we open up
Should we
emotionally, or
open
should
up?
we just keep it to
I
physical?
think so that change has come across also because of the fact that initially people were more scared of physical intimacy, where
Yeah.
people were more scared of actually going through the physical stuff. While in the coming up generation, people are more scared of going into the emotional intimacy.
Yeah. Yeah,
So I think so.
yeah,
That's
that's what the vulnerability has come on both sides. Being on
true.
a physical side and the mental side and the emotional side has also taken up an edge.
Huh.
Yeah, that is very
Exactly.
good way to put it.
Anyway,
So from this we move on to the next segment, which is like
correct.
very basic. What does a girl look for a guy in terms of dating or relationship? And I
Correct.
think
Very
before
basic.
we answer this, we should let Google answer it.
Fair enough. Like,
Because see,
अगर
the thing
if
is,
someone does not have access to our podcast, ठीक है,
or
what will
for
Google
that,
tell them?
see, even if we have access to resources or let's say friends as well, I'm a little shy to admit this or ashamed to admit this, but every one of us has done a Google search. We go on
Correct.
incognito just to keep our pride कि हाँ history में तो नहीं दिखेगा, and then we search such stuff just to see. However
Exactly.
lame it may sound, but we do. We won't
Yeah,
agree. It is
incognito. कल को दोस्तों ने हिस्ट्री चेक कर ली, ये टॉपिक तो नहीं मिलना चाहिए.
ये तो I'm a bigger person, so I'm admitting कि हाँ मैंने किया है at some point.
I'm a bigger person.
But ठीक है.
So these are top 5 qualities a girl looks in a boyfriend, and the first one of them,
You list all 5 out, ठीक है?
hmm,
And then we'll talk about it.
being generous.
In
I'll
terms
I'll
of
first
money, in terms of emotional stuff, cool. Let's just
I'll tell first 5 6 जो भी है यहाँ पे,
हाँ
ठीक है?
ठीक है.
Being generous, being a gentleman, being caring, not taking you for granted, having a
Okay.
good mindset,
अरे यार मैं बता रहा
which
हूँ आधे
seems
लड़के
at this point of time
हाँ मतलब
good
आधे
boy.
लड़के तो ये पढ़ के ऐसा कुछ करने गए ना. I don't think so कुछ
हाँ,
कुछ भी
मतलब
नहीं, because I think even Google should have a filter that what
what
kind of
kind
a
of
boy,
relationship?
what kind of relationship, because if these are the cases for a casual or a dating or let's say online dating for these days, none of this is gonna work.
See, we as guys can tell क्योंकि we've experienced this side, ठीक है? We don't know girls का aspect as such इतना strongly on this. So like if any of you want to enlighten us more, so please tell us so. Anyways, coming back to
हो
that,
गया तुमने सेफ खेल लिया.
हाँ, like this was a disclaimer की
हाँ ठीक है बस we'll add in. Cool.
हाँ. So but हाँ, anyways, coming back to the point, कि this I think so sometimes becomes very misleading for guys also.
The things I would state was, if you're going on a first date, ठीक है, make sure you're a good listener. Please don't make it all about yourself. Make
Dress
sure
up well,
dress up well. People do say looks doesn't matter, but
but
it does.
it
We all
does.
should
No
agree
matter
that
what, no matter what, no matter for who. It's equivalent for boys. It's equivalent for girls. I think so. There has to be attractiveness. ठीक है? There has
even to
to be
have that conversation in those lines that ठीक है, this is
exactly.
in terms of dating, you
Hmm.
need to have that bit of attractiveness.
Plus,
Now
I
it's
feel
more of
these qualities which are always listed. ठीक है? I think most of the places wherever, not just Google essay, even if you ask most of the girls, okay, what are the qualities they look in a boyfriend? These qualities are more of a long-lasting relationship boyfriend
मतलब
characters.
it's
It's
like
something which they assume कि okay, there is a guy, I'm attracted to them, I like them. उसके
हाँ
additional what all qualities I need in that boyfriend
नहीं
वाला thing.
मतलब yeah, we both agree that attractiveness does matter, but we also know that after a point it
That
doesn't
goes
really get into the equation.
true. Like all of
Doesn't
these things
matter
will matter. Ki,
how caring you are,
how
how
caring you
much
are,
what kind of a mindset you
intelligence,
have,
how if you can
smart. And
smartness.
one thing which is very important in both cases is on the first date and as well as a long-term relationship, how hard can you make her laugh? This is the for
How
sure.
hard can you make her laugh?
If you have a good sense of humor,
True, but true,
this
huh?
this works on both sides.
Yeah, and this I think so works. As you said, from the first to the last day, it will
Yeah.
work. This can be a cause of attraction also.
Also, yeah.
Also, like we,
So
we, we agree that attractiveness will not always come from looks. Okay, not always. It
someone
can
like
come from
me,
other things.
I'll ask you. ठीक है, अभी के लिए we'll put this on hold because I think we can come to an agreement कि हाँ, looks do matter, appearances do matter. All of this on the internet which says caring and everything, that is all on a later stage.
On later stage,
Initially,
correct.
looks, how you talk, how smart or how not dumb you sound for that matter, because it's all texting initially though, and rather than phone calls. So on those basis, how well you talk and how good you listen is more than enough for someone to
Go
get
for
to
the
meet
date.
you. It's not good or bad, it's just that that is
It's
how it
there.
is right now, so
It
might
is.
as well get acquainted to it and play accordingly is a very bad word.
But no, play accordingly. Like
Yeah,
these are the things in front of you. So like
Yeah, and
Use these facts and just play according to
relationships,
them.
whatever you say in lives of like us, 18 to
Hmm.
25 or whatever, 16 to 25, relationships play a huge role. I think
Exactly, huh?
most of our time is gone because we're thinking about having a relationship, or we
Hmm.
are in a relationship and thinking about, matlab, what is going wrong, or a lot of time is spent there.
Plus, just one more thing which I wanted to add when the play according to the part is that a lot of people, especially like me also, okay, before I started dating, that is, I have that people have that mindset, if it has to happen, it'll happen.
हाँ, वो
रहूंगा, I'll
बॉलीवुड
just
वाला, हर बंदे के लिए एक ना कहीं पे है,
कहीं ना कहीं पे
कैसे ना
है.
कैसे तो मिलाप होगा.
And especially Bollywood has taught us so much. खैर वो eventually आ जाएगी तेरे पास. She'll see how good you are और एक दिन she'll realize कि oh shit ये तो मुझे इतना प्यार करता है.
मैं तो मनन को छोड़ के पूरी दुनिया देख रही थी, कैसे ये कैसे हो गया.
नहीं यहाँ पे था मुझे दिखा ही नहीं. This is unfortunately not that accurate in these days.
Yeah, that still happens, but that
Hmm.
is one of the blue cases. मतलब one out
हाँ.
of, I think one of
And
them
that
need to make a move, get to know their presence कि हाँ मैं हूँ यहाँ पे, make your presence felt. Again, why see Bollywood पे मतलब if we take that only कि how
हाँ.
Bollywood has shown us, and we
Hmm.
get on to the next segment, which is
Correct.
how hyped college relationships are.
Exactly. Coming, especially for me again, I'll tell मेरा experience ki how Bollywood. Given like I am a
Huh,
big
yeah,
Bollywood
I
fan.
think let's get this on to this thing कि before coming to college, what had you thought about कि how relationship should be,
Hmm.
है ना? Because we've
Hmm.
seen Bollywood, TV
Hmm.
series, whatever, है ना?
Hmm.
And then how your
Hmm. Hmm.
relationship was.
Hmm. So that's what like before coming to college, given like so much of what I've seen or what I've heard from people, ठीक है,
Yeah.
क्या हर हर मूवी में देख रहा है कोई भी कॉलेज में सब कुछ होता है बट ये एक रोमांस तो है फिक्स्ड. बाकी कुछ भी हो कि ये पार्ट तो है कि ये रोमांस साइड ऑफ इट विल कम एकदम ऐसे नेचुरली सूदिंगली आएगा. एंड इट विल बी द परफेक्ट. इट जस्ट शोज अ वेरी idealistic view of it, and it just shows कि it happens. Most of the content which is there out don't show as much of the real hard work, or I don't want to say struggle, but the real fight before it
The
and
reality.
the reality. And they just show most of the good parts, which is fine. Matlab, if you want to have like a good felt experience and all of those things. But I feel a lot of people, not saying it's not blaming Bollywood or anything, but a lot of people take out a lot of reality from all of those things, which is not the case.
Well, what I had was, now I realize कि how unrealistic that thought was. On that part भी
Feel
बॉलीवुड में
थोड़ी.
जो भी कॉलेज के बेसिस पे मूवी है, मेरे को आई डोंट सी एनीवन स्टडीइंग फॉर दैट मैटर. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल ऐसा नहीं होता.
ठीक है वो तो हाँ. दैट तो कोई भी मूवी है भाई. MS धोनी की मूवी में क्रिकेट का रोमांस होता था मतलब. Anyways,
हाँ मतलब
हाँ.
हाँ ठीक है.
That's how Bollywood works. It works on
Yeah,
romance.
but see, that's what Bollywood gives a hope. Probably an
So a lot of
unrealistic hope, but hope for that
hope.
matter.
हाँ.
And with time, when your college ends, when you've been through that process or been through it, you get to know कि हाँ, all of this is bullshit to a very good extent. If I share my experience,
Hmm.
initially, now that I think कि पहले कैसे था, how I was, I used to be कि I felt that college was like Tinder or Bumble, है ना? I like multiple girls, है ना? Not all of them like me back, and one of them did, and
Match
then
मिला.
we dated, ठीक है? And then that too, when we started dating, it felt like, oh fuck, this is the forever wala shit.
True,
But
that happens a lot of times.
that हाँ मतलब it's
You
like
get that feeling कि बस यही है.
मैंने तो सब कुछ सोच लिया भाई आगे का कि कैसे रहेंगे क्या करेंगे,
But
है ना? तो वही था कि because I got with that hype कि हाँ colleges ऐसे होते हैं, from the first moment I was like I should have that, and I've had this कि एक होना चाहिए. This I had in college, now I
you
don't
want
have
that
it.
one person.
That one person. We've had this talk before also, na? That we need to have that one person, and that felt good at that point. But right now, where I see myself in life, I don't know. I think that feeling is still, right, I don't know, toned down a
Prevalent.
lot. I guess. Although I don't know, it just vanished somehow. That one person. And colleges also have those, which I really admire is they date only one person during college, but they have that forever bond, and they end up being together even after college for a very long time. That I admire. Well, it is very difficult, I know, because now I know what state I am in
The
my
Marshall
life.
Lily couple of
The OG couple.
OG couple.
वैसा मतलब कॉलेज में ऐसा होता है ना, वी हैव सीनियर्स whom we think कि हाय यार ये तो ओजी
ये
कपल है,
ये
and
जो लोग
and
हैं
they
ये
end
बाहर
up,
रखे।
हाँ, and they end up breaking up,
हम्म।
and we just feel so bad sometimes,
या
है ना,
इसको
but
देख के तो सच्चे प्यार की मुझे विश्वास
हाँ
हुआ था।
हाँ हाँ ये हाँ, तो बट फिर याद आता है ना कि अगर ओजी कपल वो होते हैं, you won't really get to know who the OG couple is in college until
एग्जैक्टली।
unless after college you still get
ट्रू
to know that they're still together and
ट्रू
doing
ट्रू
good.
ट्रू ट्रू ट्रू।
That is what an OG couple would be. And my experience after the relationship, your putting in efforts is twice or thrice the amount.
हम्म।
You go through so much emotionally. Now that you know, because of that one feeling कि वो एक होना चाहिए,
हम्म।
you know, and how much ever you say, college is a lonely place.
हम्म।
To be
It
at
can
least
it
it
can
was.
get
It can get lonely at times. ठीक है?
exactly. Especially, I think that category comes even especially at those points where you feel low and you actually want to. You can't just go with a general person. कि,
हाँ,
see,
and
college has a lot of people, so it's not lonely कि तुमको कोई लोग नहीं दिखेगा. But when you really want to talk to someone, the number of people will come down drastically.
And
Drastically.
see, even though Bollywood movies used to show us, everyone in college is dating more or less.
Hmm.
When we got into college, that did turn out to be true. Just the process of how they started dating was very
Exactly.
different.
Exactly.
है ना? But you see in your surroundings, everyone was dating someone. है
Hmm.
ना? Probably for a short period of time, but they were dating. है ना?
Especially,
So,
even in this, I want to say, कि especially when you come out in the public, there the number of people who are out there are most of them are those who are dating. So that's why the surroundings will
yeah.
look more dominant in those sides.
Yeah, because the ones who are not dating aren't really out, probably in the
Hmm.
night, let's just say.
हाँ,
You know,
let's
at
just say.
around, you'll feel very few of them. And I think that just, we don't agree to it, but that is a lot of added pressure.
Hmm.
Well,
Plus, I feel like after everything, like how we also covered that point, ki you like someone, they don't like you back. Whoever's gone through that process, when it comes to that place where someone finally likes you, it gives
yeah.
some sort of an acceptance or something like that. And
Well,
given like
that's the whole point. Matlab, we've always been told that you shouldn't look for acceptance or comments in
hmm,
society for you. You
hmm,
should be comfortable with what you are. है ना?
exactly,
We
but
seek for acceptance in
approval.
society, approval for that matter.
Exactly.
है
And
ना?
we judge ourselves a lot from the eyes of other people.
या
कि
हम कितना भी बोले, हम कितना भी पढ़े इंटरनेट पे या जो भी
hmm,
बोले कि इट इज जस्ट वेरी हार्ड. You do seek out societal approval, not society, surrounding approval or
hmm,
acceptance for that matter. And
exactly.
when you say that happens now, I remember in mine when that happened, when
Hmm,
I got to know that the person likes me back.
hmm,
And in my case too, it was like after 5 months I'd let that person know that I like her, like
hmm,
romantically and everything,
hmm,
and that I
hmm,
wanted a
hmm,
relationship. And after 5 months long, we went in contact for those 5 months.
hmm,
But after 5 months long, she came to me, like she opened up
hmm,
that she also likes me
hmm.
back and stuff. And at that point, I remember it felt so not really relieved as such, but that approval wala feeling. To be not to be very derogatory or use the wrong terms, but at last, at last,
Hmm.
wala feeling ki hush. I just feel ki that is throughout our life that we will like multiple people at
Hmm.
probably at the same time or different levels
Hmm.
with different times. We will like multiple people. So it's just that at the end of the day, core of our emotional thing that we are humans, we will seek out for that approval or acceptance or that for that one person. You
Very
know,
true.
we will, and that was the whole drive in college. I remember.
I feel that point where you said key at that moment you put them on such a high level. So that also comes especially in at least your first relationship because you get so much of self confidence maybe
That
just
acceptance all of feeling.
from that itself, from that feeling itself. And up until probably you've broken up or when you've come to your own, you have that feeling somewhere ki your self confidence or your worth itself is pretty much linked to the fact that you're dating.
And it is very fucked up now that we look back. It
Yeah,
is.
now that we look back and now, because now hindsight is always like a best view, but
Yeah.
at that moment sometimes that thought comes, and when it comes you then put in extra because you don't want that to go, because
Yeah, very true.
sometimes you feel like if that goes you'll go back to that previous state, which is not true, but you feel like you'll go
Yeah.
back to that previous state where you were seeking for this so much, so
Yeah,
just
that's the
to
whole point.
not get back the people
That
like
worth wala part, You being
It's
in a relationship or not is never defined by that. Now we understand
exactly.
it. I think at some point of times we have put that one person on the first priority, made them our world.
Hmm.
It is not healthy.
It's not at all healthy.
It
Not at
is
all healthy.
you miss out on a lot of people when you do that.
You lose out on a lot on yourself when you do that.
Yeah, self though, see, when you made them your first priority, that is given that you're losing a lot on yourself.
True.
But that has a very adverse effect on your secondary relations with your friends, with your
The college
friends,
people,
which you
friends.
see. You lose out on a lot of stuff. And
True.
I know for a fact now that I wasn't in a relationship and I was around my friends for so
Hmm.
long and
Hmm.
everything. I experienced a lot of stuff which I missed out initially.
Hmm.
Well, everything being said of how relationships are looked at in college, what you've experienced and
Hmm.
everything, I would always encourage people to get into a relationship with what it's given to me. ठीक है, all the hype is yes, it is there. Everything is true. मतलब बहुत hyped है.
Hmm.
Odds भी जैसे हमारे कॉलेज में था 1:11, 1:10 ratio.
Hmm.
It was too much.
Yeah,
मतलब
exactly. It's too much. And then, being on the one side makes you feel again, yeah, wow. You
that's
want to
what.
get to the one side.
So it is.
A
So
lot of
I would tell
freedoms.
everyone to take that leap of faith and try to get into a relationship with someone you like. I'm not telling you to force yourself,
Hmm.
but try to get one because there is a lot I've learned from my relationship.
Exactly.
You
But
know,
coming to this point, like I think that this is a good segue to the next segment. So we'll just talk ki, like I want to ask you certain questions ki if I had to say ki one thing, one sort of learning which you got from your previous
past.
relationships, whatever, but like one learning which you got from it which you didn't know pehle and you know now and which you want to probably tell to someone else.
Well, see, one thing though very obvious that we both made clear was that feeling of worth,
Hmm.
that feeling of achievement, the
Hmm.
feeling of acceptance.
Hmm.
That is not really directly proportional to you having a relationship or not.
Exactly.
This is
Exactly.
one thing I learned.
Exactly.
Second thing, what my relationships have given to me. So the understanding of a world, of a different human being, that is what I've learned, and that is what my relationship has given me in
Exactly.
terms.
A lot of maturity.
I've become very mature.
A lot of maturity. Exactly.
I
Huh, wait.
can't see myself spitting such lines when I was in first or second year.
Exactly. Because
No way.
this is something which you experience the lows of it, you experience the highs of it, and I think you need to experience everything to actually learn from it. जो बोलते हैं
Yeah,
ना कि
reading just isn't enough,
हाँ हाँ and
or seeing isn't just
I
enough.
feel a lot of mental strength also you can get from this.
Yeah,
क्योंकि I don't know. Obviously there are a lot of other things also, but for me personally, there are not a lot of big emotional or mental downfalls which you'll experience in terms of studies, या फिर touchwood like family and
yeah.
everything. Not a lot of people experience that. ठीक है? So let's say mental strength to develop that. People, I think so. Breakups and everything,
Don't
because you're
teach
so
you that.
invested in all of that
Yeah.
emotionally. There's not a lot of other things which are out there which will
Well,
strengthen you like that.
losing the sense of worth. You're
All of
invested
those
in that
things.
sense of worth, right?
Hmm.
And when you break up, that is put into pieces.
Huh.
That takes a very big deal. See, I'm not telling that all the hardships we face in terms of family or studies is different or less, but I'm just saying this is a kind
This is a kind of,
of.
yeah. This is one kind of it.
Yeah, that's what. Like now coming on to the next segment,
Hmm.
like where do you stand now in terms of relationships? What is your stand?
Complicated, but
It's always gonna be
it's it's
complicated.
it's
There's
always
never.
exactly matlab
Yeah.
ki we've just made sure ki this complication remains in our life forever. But I think given the past experiences which I have had, so I feel one thing which I have changed my perspective about, and which I genuinely feel ki everyone at least in our age group, near our age group, need to have that. I feel again I'll even reference Bollywood क्योंकि मुझे भी उससे काफी वो influence हुआ था. You have that intense feeling towards a relationship where it's everything. And I feel given at this stage, we need to avoid that thing. I'm not saying it's for everyone, but again, at least for me at this point of time, I don't feel that a relationship should be my everything. I need to grow personally.
See, we haven't been in a relationship or for that matter while we're working, right?
Hmm.
Like, right? A serious one.
A serious one.
A
Huh.
serious one. So we don't know the hardships that come across in such a relationship, how
Exactly.
people make it work and everything.
Hmm.
And I would blindly again step into such a situation without any hesitation,
Hmm.
just because I know what my past relationship has given me as a learning. And
Hmm.
this one thing I've seen that, I'm talking from a very basic my point of view,
Hmm.
and I'm not considering people go through a lot of different stuff, a lot of, we are just talking about normal breakups, but people go through some ugly breakups.
Exactly.
Okay, and sometimes it's very bad to handle. So I'm
Hmm.
not talking about those. From
Hmm.
my point of view, we in terms of like, we like millennials in terms have always had the notion ki hate your ex,
Hmm. True.
and that is, that helps you a lot, to be very honest, when you break up with someone,
Especially, I was gonna say when you
and
break up with someone.
and when you are not on the same page,
Hmm.
and when you break up, that helps you as a person to move on from them, to
Get
look
over that.
forward to. But we always forget that relationships, you're very ungrateful to them at times when
Hmm.
you're in that moving up phase, right? You're very ungrateful to it.
Hmm.
Matlab, it nurtured you. I know what my relationship gave me.
Hmm.
Okay? However it
Exactly. It
ended,
taught you
whatever
a lot.
happened, it taught me. It is probably who I am right now.
Hmm.
Okay? So it might be not a lot of things, but a couple of things which I will keep on going ahead in my life. They'll be with me for sure.
Hmm.
So I know that. So this is a bad thing in me also, that there were at times where I was ungrateful to that relationship.
Hmm.
But to move on from that bad phase where I had a breakup and things went very bad,
Hmm.
I had to hate that person.
Hmm.
There was, for me at least, it might sound very bad, but for me, that I felt there wasn't a way out.
Hmm.
And whatever had happened, because I was so invested in it, I had that sense of worth with that relationship.
Hmm.
Even though whatever happened, I still wanted to go back to it.
Hmm. That happens. Yeah.
And that is sometimes, given my situation, it was unhealthy.
Hmm.
Okay? And luckily, I didn't go back to it,
Hmm.
and I learned a lot from it.
Hmm.
But one thing which always stuck me when I was in that phase, that
Hmm.
be grateful to your past relationships, however bad they were.
Exactly.
Even if it were for the short duration, that
Hmm.
means you learn something very quickly, and then you let that person go because she wasn't the
Exactly.
right one for you. You weren't comfortable in it. That's a
And
learning in
matlab,
itself.
we are not saying कि you have to be grateful to that person. They might have done some really bad things,
Ha,
but
yeah,
overall that relationship which taught you a lot, because just like for us we can say ki how we were before that and how we were after that, that change which is
yeah.
definite, which is
People who are close to us, they know.
they know.
Yeah,
And that teaching we got from going through that phase, so
yeah.
even if it had very very big
Even
lows
if
in
it
our life,
ended very badly,
or it gave us shit, ठीक है, that all side we know kya it had a lasting effect on us.
yeah, that's
हाँ.
what, like, I came across this somewhere, but probably I thought of it myself only after looking at some quote. It's like
Hmm.
relationship is like art,
Hmm.
art is, you don't get to the worth of the art by seeing what is put into it,
Hmm.
but what is got out of it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Expensive art is not what the artist put into it.
True.
Basically, what other people perceived out of that art,
Hmm.
that is what the worth of the art is. Relationships are the same way. It's not how much you invested in it, what and all happened, nothing,
Hmm.
but what you got out of it. It ended
Exactly.
badly, cool, but see, there are relationships I know where that bad phase
Hmm.
takes power on that good phase, and it is very
True.
genuine, because if someone is going through shit for a year, he would never want to look into that good phase, and I don't
हाँ.
even encourage them.
हाँ, especially in that phase.
No one tells you this. Okay? Even
हाँ.
when you go to a counselor, people, she would be like, take the right way, don't, she's a good person, whatever,
Hmm.
work on yourself, everything. But when it comes on moving on, I would say do whatever feels right to you at that point of
Exactly.
time to make yourself feel comfortable in that
Make you
state.
feel okay.
If drinking you would get your problems done by drinking a lot, try it out. Probably someday you'll get a sense that this is bad. But at that point of time, okay, do it. No one can judge you. You shouldn't be caring what people are judging on you on that. And even if people say this is not the right part to get on to move on, no. I've known people who've taken the right path as such
Hmm.
to move on. Do those checklist things ki हाँ ये कर लो, move
Hmm.
on हो जाएंगे. Some people haven't moved on yet.
Hmm. And that is
So,
that is a very difficult,
and
very
probably,
tricky phase.
in my thing, it's like I've moved on, not moved on. I've stopped answering that question.
Hmm.
It is now a very, there's a lot happened after my relationship, after
Hmm.
my that relationship,
Hmm.
which now I look forward to or I deal with. You
Hmm.
know, so that part is probably locked now. And lately, it's been that if I even meet that person, talk to that person, nothing of that kind hits, which has
Hmm.
taken me a great deal to come here.
Hmm.
Because
Obviously.
my breakup, it's been like 2 years nearly for my breakup, and
Hmm.
let's just say it's taken me a year and a half to get to this stage
Hmm.
very finally.
Very true.
So
And
it's like,
especially once that breakup thing at that point of time when it happens, it's because at that point of time you're so attached to the relationship itself, even if you're not the person. Sometimes that's also a case where even if the
yeah,
person,
the relationship was your backbone, kind of.
ha, especially given our age and everything, we have a lot of things which are going on which are there, but we don't sort of look at it in a perspective how we look
We don't
at a.
visit them. We
Hmm.
don't visit
We
those
don't
things.
visit them, and it's sometimes difficult to look at the bigger picture because we're so concentrated on that particular
See,
aspect of our life.
if you're a third person
Hmm.
in that relationship,
Hmm.
external viewer,
Hmm.
you would always be looking at the bigger picture.
Hmm.
Okay? But if you're someone who's in that relationship
Hmm.
going through that phase, you feel there's no big picture. You feel this is your life all along now.
True, true. But I feel
And
that especially like now once you told the third view thing, I feel that could be a very helpful way to look at yourself. जैसे कि हम लोग बोलते हैं ना कि how people judge through others' eyes. I think so. This would not be that bad during the breakup to look at yourself from a third viewer's perspective, and maybe then it'll help you probably in some way because I don't know, maybe it helped me in some sort of way to get that sort of a mindset.
but the thing is, I had that feeling where I wanted that one person.
Hmm.
Okay? I got that in college, and then I broke off and everything, and then I moved on. Now there are some serious flaws in me as an individual
Hmm.
because of that relationship,
Hmm.
probably,
Hmm.
which hold me back in getting into a new
Scares
one.
scares you.
That is a cost you pay,
Cost.
basically.
That is a
है
cost.
ना?
Yeah.
Because most of our college relationships end up after, especially in our life, because we were in one place.
Hmm.
It was just like
It
living
was
together.
it was like an different artificial world in which we were there.
Yeah,
And
we were living together.
hmm.
No parents, nothing, independent, and a lot of our relationships in our surroundings with us as well. When we moved apart,
Hmm.
distance was a huge variable,
Hmm.
and it just broke things off. You just fell
Hmm.
apart because you had no clue how to make it work outside.
Hmm. Because I feel like
So
the whole
it's just
relationship
that
itself had, the whole backbone of it was the college. You know,
people
you
who
met,
haven't,
you
yeah,
were there, and the whole
you
thing was
experienced a
that.
lot of stuff. All of your firsts were together.
Huh.
And that is a
So,
big part.
and once that itself, that college ka thing itself goes away, there is no support for it. There's no
Yes.
something lying back wala thing, and that just makes you feel that you are now into this new thing where you feel that you are now back to the basics, back to zero,
Well,
and then
that's
you start questioning ki, okay, do you want to go ahead with it,
yeah. It's
and do you
basically
there are
like
other so many things which are happening, do you still
yeah.
want
It's
to.
so वही
it's
बात
a,
है
it's a
कि
real testing phase. It works for a lot of people, it doesn't work for a lot of people.
yeah.
It can go either way, but this is one thing which is truly a change which helps define the relationship itself a lot,
Yeah.
because even if you break up with that person, it helps you reflect back and realize what it was, and it'll help you keep things in perspective, while if you go through that phase, you can again evolve your relationship to what it is right now.
So if anyone wants their first relationship to be their forever one, so I would say take as much time as you want.
Hmm.
Because when your first relationship or first serious relationship ends, there's a lot of baggage. There's a lot of things you will be afraid of going forward or
Hmm.
stepping into, and that is sometimes very difficult to deal with.
Hmm.
And
True.
I've seen people who haven't dealt with it. It's there in their life right now. It is there,
Huh.
and it's gonna be there.
A
Okay?
lot of people don't
And
want to deal with it also because
huh,
they feel that will throw them back to that phase,
yeah,
so they've
and
just cornered
see,
that feeling and just moved on.
it again comes key. There's no right way how to deal with it or not deal with it. It's your
True.
decision. If not dealing with it works for me, like there are some points which I don't deal with it, even though I know it's not healthy. I don't deal with them, and it
True.
seems to be working for me.
Hmm.
So see, not stretching this anymore.
Hmm.
If given me an option to give one-liners,
Hmm.
okay, I would say take the leap of faith.
Hmm.
Don't be ungrateful to the relationship you've had.
Hmm.
Be grateful to it. Relationship is like art, to be very honest. It
Hmm.
takes a lot of efforts, and
Hmm.
the worth of it is what you get out of it. And
Cow-
relationships also fuck you up. To
Okay,
be
the
very, they
perfect,
do.
perfect end probably.
Yeah. Okay. So now that all of our four segments are done and
Hmm.
everything,
Hmm.
just a fun part is what are the top 5 qualities you look in a girl? Let's not
Huh.
concentrate on the numbers. Let's
Firstly, I'm trying to put this nicely in a way that I don't get attacked for it.
You should have come prepared.
I didn't come prepared for this segment. This was like a surprise segment. But anyways, attractiveness does matter. Okay, I'm not saying it can be just looks. Okay, I have certain other aspects which attract me. Let's say,
Be
there are-
specific about it. What kind of
I don't want to be specific about it, but let's say, okay, given that I like to dance and everything, when I see someone dance very nicely, I do get attracted to them.
Yeah,
Okay?
you vibe with them.
Like, and people have different things with respect to, but that level, that attraction needs to come, and I feel like it neats to come on an early stage. Okay?
If you have to force it, it's shit anyway.
It's shit.
I'm
We've come back to the start.
Attractiveness.
Attractiveness. Okay? Second thing, I feel like I need intelligence. Okay? I like to have a lot of different sorts of conversation about life and this, that, politics, like everything, and I want someone who I can have this conversation with. I don't want ki just ऐसे time pass का चल रहा. Third point, difficult, but I feel कि मुझे थोड़ा romantic type का कोई person मिले तो I'll be very happy
Very
with that.
happy. Good. Yeah, good enough.
Good enough. I think these three are there for sure. What about you?
Okay. So, if we come to, what gets me attracted to a girl as such, which is very, I don't know, I like someone who has a very good smile.
Smile.
This has happened to me a couple of times and everything, that I am at a place and there's someone far away in the club or wherever, in the restaurant or something, and she has a very good smile and we've had eye contact and that smile catches my eye for some reason.
Catches your
And
attention.
someone with very expressive eyes, that is something. I know that for a matter, I have very expressive eyes. Okay? So someone of that sort, I really tend to like them instantly, or that kind of a click.
Click. Ghanti.
Coming to this is all being on whom I like as appearance वगैरह पे. Now coming to in terms of a serious relationship, I want my next serious relationship to be with someone who's probably completely different than what my schedule is or what my life is.
True. I think this is something which I am also looking forward to it.
पता नहीं, she might be someone, पता नहीं वो क्या कर, not probably 5 to 9 job, कुछ अलग कर रही होगी. Who knows?
Because
But
I
would
feel
be,
you want to experience that also through them.
And someone who has a sense of humor as I do, who can laugh at my lame jokes and my good ones also. Who it again comes down to compatibility. जो भी है. And that is the kind I want.
I think so. One more thing जो मुझे अभी ऐसे सुन के especially ये hit हुआ कि I would want someone
So specific. Are you describing some specific girl whom you want to reach out? नहीं ना.
Through this video, not at all.
No.
Not at all. Not at all. Not you.
Okay.
But if someone wants to reach me, you always know who I am.
And
Anyways,
all of the things that we want are again to that stage where you meet the person, talk to them, get to know them, and then all of these factors come in.
true.
Because these are, if you're talking fairly on Tinder and Bumble, the conversation can get very weird. Just stay out of it. So I think this is a good. And so just to reiterate on my things and Manan things, whatever we have told, anyone who matches such qualities, please do reach out to us in case. Let's just see if we can vibe or not, and probably you can be our next guest on the podcast. At the end of the day, I guess we're two desperate guys again.
Good. We've rounded up ourselves also nicely with this podcast.
Yeah, I think that was the motive, right?
That was the motive. Yeah, that was the motive going forward with this podcast.
Podcasts are cool these days. Let's try that out also. Like we did in our first years, relationships, dating is cool. Let's do that as well.
Exactly. Let's see अब कहाँ पे पहुँच गए हैं हम.
I think it's a good way to end. So, adios amigos. Thanks for listening. Probably stay tuned for our next one.
We'll see you for our next episode.